Well, I don't know.
Hi everybody, we're
Hi.
back. I'm Linda,
I'm Mary.
and we're making, sorry about that, we're making Sister Jean Holland, Pastor Jean Holland's famous biscuits and our mama's potato gravy. So Mary's going to be peeling one potato, right?
Yeah, I'm going to peel a potato while she's making these biscuits. I've never heard of these biscuits. Sister
Yeah.
Jean gave her the recipe, and she said we're going to have to try them. We like trying new recipes. I've tried a new one the other day that I may share with y'all sometimes. It was really good. It was chicken.
We
in the
love
oven.
easy recipes.
Yes.
And so I made these a few times, and so if you'll notice, I'm using Kroger brand heavy whipped cream. I like this brand as opposed to Land of Lakes because it has such a good good date on it. Like you can get them for 2 months out, whereas some of the other brands are only good for like a few weeks or something. So we're going to, this is a 2-ingredient biscuit recipe, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
We're using self-rising flour. If you don't have self-rising flour, not to worry. A lot of people don't stock all kinds of flour in their kitchen like we do. So if all you have is all-purpose, per cup of flour, you need 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. This recipe, I'm using 2 cups of flour. See my little leveler here? I love this little gadget. This is another Pampered Chef item. And I'm doing 2 cups of flour. Measuring that out in my bowl. And I don't have this in a canister, this flour, because I keep this in the freezer because I don't use self-rising flour on a regular basis like I do all AP flour. So I've got 2 cups of this. We'll get this out of our way. And I'm doing almost equal amounts of heavy whipped cream and
And that's not
the flour.
either.
No, this is straight heavy whipped cream. What did I do with my little spatula?
It's right here.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
So I don't want to leave any in
I
there.
love
so.
cooking with my sister. I love spending the day with her. So
Yeah, we have such a good time together, and when we don't get to see each other, I miss it. It's like my week doesn't go
it just
right.
wasn't the same last week because I didn't get to come over here.
I'm going to give my hands a quick wash because I'm going to mix these up with my hands. You can use a fork or pastry blender, but I'm going to use my hands as a tool. So you don't want to over mix these. You just want to mix it together. Your dough is going to be real wet. If you'll see there, see it's real wet and real sticky. And get all the flour mixed up real good. Once it's just mixed together and all the flour has got some of the wet on it, then we're going to, oh, Mary, would you hand me that flour back? I need a little on my pastry board. Thank you. And if you don't mind, put my whipping cream up, please. I just opened that, and
Yep, I'm your helper this time.
thank you. I don't want to leave it out, because if I do, then I'll have to throw it out, and I just opened that. It's a new container. So I'm putting a generous amount of flour on my Pampered Chef board here, and I'm just going to dump this out. Get all my goodies out of the bowl.
And how much flour do you put on just a little handful?
Probably just a handful, you know, maybe if you're measuring it like a tablespoon or 2.
Okay.
And again, we were taught to do this. I know not everybody does, but I don't like to leave stuff in the bowl because I feel like it's waste. So I'm going to, most people, old timers, this is how they clean their hands from biscuit
Now you
dough.
put the flour?
Leave it out
Okay.
just a
Well, I'll put it
second,
over here
just in case I
so you can.
might need a little bit more.
Okay.
I'm going to,
Now, do you roll that out with the rolling pin?
I'm not going to roll it. I'm going to
Okay.
press it all together,
Okay.
and then I am going to use a cutter to cut it.
Okay.
I want to somewhat get it kind of together here, so it's
I went and dumped over my potato peelings where I peel my potato.
part of the kitchen. I'm telling you, This last week and a half, it seems like everything I picked up, I've dropped it. And I hate when I do that.
I know.
Or
Me
knocking
too.
something over.
I had tile surgery in one hand, and I won't do it on the other one. So whatever I drop, I'll just have to pick up because I'm not having that surgery again.
And I've never had it done and probably should have, but
Paw Patrol.
after Mary had a bad experience, I decided I wasn't going to have it done. Now, if you'll notice, my dough is probably, what, about, would you say that's maybe a ½ inch thick,
Yeah,
or maybe
yeah.
a little over ½ inch thick?
Yeah.
I've got 2 size biscuit cutters here. I think I'm going to use this one.
I like that small
This
one.
is Pampered Chef also. These are excellent cutters.
I like that small one.
The show is not about Pampered Chef, but we use their products so much that when I find something that I like, I really do like to share it with somebody
And
else.
you greased what is this, 9 by 13 inch pan?
Yes, it's a brownie pan.
So it's gonna make biscuits for the whole pan?
This is probably going to make 6 or 7, but
Okay, okay. But you greased it with shortening.
I did use Crisco to grease it with.
Okay.
And if you remember on the biscuits that you made a few weeks ago, you used butter in the bottom of
used
your
butter,
pan.
yeah.
Made a real good crust. And you could probably use butter in this one, but I'm going by exactly what she does it.
Right.
So she uses,
Well, I don't
she
think
uses
butter would
Crisco.
work on this one because it soaks. It depends on that dough and that
Well,
that recipe that I
you may
did
be
before.
right. It
It
might-
soaks into that biscuit, and it would be, I don't think it would work. It's that much butter anyway.
let's just stay with the
Yes,
shortening in
yes.
this one. Okay, and I'll do my little cleanup in a little bit, but we're going to get
You want me
these.
to move that for you?
No, that's okay. Unless you want to just move that, and that'll be fine.
This.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm using this cutter, and I'm going to cut my biscuits. These are going to be pretty thick. You'll see I've got it there, and I'm going to put it in the pan. And let me a little bit more flour. I'm going to do that around here. So years ago, we moved to Mississippi. Not the summer after our daddy died. We moved up there just to basically have a different environment, and we only went for the summer. We didn't even take furniture or anything. We just went to stay up there to try to, get our minds off of losing daddy. And I don't know if it was the first or second, we stayed longer than the summer. The first or second winter we was there, we always lived close to Sister Jean, and it was really cold one morning. I think it was either snowing or they were forecasting snow or something, and Sister Jean calls Mama and said, I'll make the biscuits if you'll make the potato gravy. And when we first moved to Mississippi, Mary, you probably remember, they made tomato gravy.
Yes, they made. I don't think I'd ever eaten. No, Mama made tomato gravy.
Mama made tomato soup. She
Okay.
made tomato soup. And,
Out of fresh tomatoes.
Yeah, out of tomatoes. And but it wasn't. We didn't make tomato gravy, or at least I don't remember her making tomato gravy at that time.
I don't remember
So tomato
eating
gravy
it.
was new to us.
Yeah,
Tomato
right.
sandwiches were new to us.
Yeah.
We'd never eaten a
I'll
sandwich
tell you
without
another
meat on
thing
them.
that was new to me when we moved to Mississippi was they eat grits and pork chops for breakfast, and I had never eaten.
So she called Mama up, and she said, "You make some potato gravy," because that was new. We have lots of good memories in Mississippi there. The time that we lived there, Carla and Chuck both were born
Yeah,
there.
Carl and Chuck both was born
Aaron was born there. Linnell's Charles' youngest, and Philip Lee was born there. So were any of the other babies born there? Misty and Michael.
I wish they had her number.
Logan and Misty were born there.
Yeah.
So we have lots and lots and lots of good memories of Mississippi and Jesus Name Tabernacle and our good friends, and we hope that y'all are watching us. Yeah. So I didn't quite get a full pan of biscuits, but I want to show them to you. It made 10 biscuits. So I've got the oven preheated at 500. We're going to put them in the oven and start baking these. We're going to bake probably around 15 minutes. I'll check it after about 12, but I want to make sure that they are nice and done. So we're going to put these in the oven, and then Mary's going to get started making the potato gravy. So these are going in the oven.
And I'm gonna
Set your timer.
make, I've already peeled the potato because I'm gonna make potato gravy. And I'm gonna, here, his, if you want text her.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
Do a little kitchen cleanup here while Mary's getting
Yeah.
started on the.
I'm gonna, let me move this sack here. When I make, anytime I make potato, we make biscuits or I think about breakfasts, I think about, breakfast, I think about Molly.
She sure cooked some good breakfast, didn't she?
Yes.
We had so many good times driving to the farm on Saturday morning. Nobody
Yeah.
ever knew when the other cousins were coming, but just as sure as we'd round that curve and see, we had a little thing that we said, "I see the dairy barn," the first one that said it. It was just a little game that we all played. All the cousins did the same thing. We was watching for that dairy barn. And
Well, Molly, my husband bricked the church down in Gloryland, and Gloryland is in Goodwin community, and it used to be called No Man's Land. So that sounds like the old Western days, but let me tell you something, the Gloryland was outlaw. And so they call that No Man's Land. But my husband's grandfather actually started that church, that First Pentecostal church there in Gloryland, and we always look forward to going to all-day dinners, singings. We had lots of fun there at Gloryland. And so whenever Brother, he slipped my mind, Brother Freeman Bright, when he was pastoring that church, he liked bobbing. He just thought a lot of my husband, and so he told my husband told Brother Freeman Bright that he would brick that church at not much above cost, and so he didn't charge him as much. So we lived in Houston, but he went up there and he stayed. He actually camped out on the river, the Cottonham Bridge, while he bricked the church, and Brother Bud Lumen was my husband's grandfather. He's one that started that church years ago. Bud Lumen, you're talking about No Man's Land. All that area down there was really a rough part of the country, and they just did some really ungodly things, and Bud Lumen was one of them. And he was just really not a nice person. But when he got the Holy Ghost, he went around repenting to everybody that he had done wrong.
Taking back stuff he
Taking
stole
back
from
chickens, pigs. He was taking back all kind of things that he had stole from people, and asking for forgiveness for adultery. I mean, he was just going above board. So he got a lot of people interested in the church because of his repentance. And so anyway, we have a lot of history in that church. And so my husband wanted to brick it because it was his grandfather started it. And so he bricked it. And while he was there, Paul Lee, he had some trot lines down in what we call the slough, down in at the river. And
was that Bluff Slough?
I think it was Bluff Slough, Linda. I think it was. Well, Mother, she was living down there then too, and beside my grandparents. And he told Hazel, that's what he said to my mother. He said, "Hazel, I want you to go with me to run those trot lines." And she said, "Daddy, I'm not going to go get in that boat." And so he looked over at me and he said, "Mary, you'll go with me, won't you? I want you to know I don't swim. I never learned to swim. And besides that, I'm a scaredy cat of snakes and water and fish. I don't even like to fish." And that was my grandfather. And the hardest thing in the world for me to do is say no. So, it was back in, if you know what a slough is, it's back where it's just marsh and a little bit of water and mud, and Anyway, so I told him, okay, we were all standing there at the bank, and I had Carl and Chuck, and I told him, well, I'll go with you, Paul. Mother kept the kids, and I got in that boat, scared to death. I was so afraid. But I got in that boat, and I said, Lord, just protect me, because I'm doing this for my grandfather. And we went down that slough. We was paddling. I never paddled in my life. And I was following him. He was in the front, and I was in the back, and we was going one side to the other. We was going up under tree limbs. We was going, I don't know, no telling how many. It was horrible. But anyway, we run those trot lines, and we got back. But that was one of them times that I did something that I really didn't want to do, but I did it for my Paul Lee. And I think about that lots of times, and I'm glad that I did. I'm glad I went ahead and run those trot lines with him, but I didn't never want to do it again.
Paul was a family man. He loved his family.
He does.
He loved going to see them, and he loved being with them. Loved being with all of us. Mira, I hope I'm cutting these okay.
You're
for
fine.
you.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I'm not too much at talking and working at the same time.
Well, not that I don't think Mira can handle this knife, but this is a very sharp knife, and I didn't
She's
want her.
afraid I'm gonna cut myself. That's what
I
it
didn't
is.
want her looking at the camera and not watching her hands, and I didn't want us to have to stop the video to do a first aid right here.
I'll tell you, Linda, she kind of acts like my mother sometimes. She tries to look after me. If she thinks that I'm going to get sick or something, she always cautious me, and she's always cautions me about using that sharp knife, because she knows how I am. I have cut my hand before.
These knives are, Mike has cut his too, and I'm telling you, this is a Pampered Chef knife, and it is probably the sharpest knife I have ever used. It's a 5-inch, and it has a lifetime warranty, and it is it has a cover to go on it, which I love. But so we got these cut up. Mira, you wanna
I've got oil in it. Yeah, I'm gonna.
I haven't actually put the oil in it, but the skillet's hot.
All right. I'm gonna
tell y'all another time about Paul Lee. Are we gonna move it?
I'm gonna move the camera over here.
Okay. So I think I mentioned this on one of our other videos. We lived in the same house all of our life, except a couple times until we moved to Mississippi, the house that our daddy built. But a couple of times, Daddy would rent a house so he could fish, run trot lines, check his nets. And this was the time that he rented this house off of Highway 7 West. And I don't even know the name of the road. Charles probably would know it, but there was a creek across the road. The house was on a hill. Remember, it was a big old house.
Oh,
and
that was in Nacogdoches.
Yeah, in Nacogdoches.
Yeah, off for 7.
Off
Yeah.
Highway 7.
Yeah.
And so there was a creek across the road, and we liked it. Wasn't the house that we rented, but they didn't care for us going down there and fish, and we went down there and fish all the time. And me and Ma Lee had been down there earlier. I think I got your spatula out there. If you need
Okay.
it.
All right. This is one. I'm sorry, Linda. This was one potato that we cut up between Linda and I both. We just cut it up in little small pieces, and I put about
how much oil?
I probably put a third a cup, maybe, of oil in the skillet. All right, now Linda, continue your story.
So, me and Molly had been down there to fish, and there was a bunch of cows down there, and I'm scared of cows and I'm scared of horses. I'm 72 years old. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I have been all my life, and sometimes people look at us and they think we're country people. Ma and Pa did have a farm, and we did go down there often. We were not born in the country. We were born where Mary was, but we lived in the city. Nacogdoches is a big city, and so I was scared of them. So we'd been fishing, and Ma noticed this mama cow. She had a little calf, and she noticed that she was getting angry with us being down there. We were getting too close to her calf, but nothing happened that day. We went on back home, walked up the hill, and then a couple of days later, me and Paul went down there to fish, me and Paul Lee. Well, when we started walking back and we were getting a little bit too close for comfort, this cow started charging us. And when I mean charging, it was coming toward us, and it meant business too, and I was scared to death. Paul Lee had his hat off, he was waving his arms, and he run a farm, so he knew a little thing or two about cows. and I froze. I stood there, and there was a creek on one side full of water moccasins. And he told me later, he said, I debated on whether just grabbing you and jumping in the creek or either having you go on.
I don't know which would be the worst.
I don't know either, because I would have been horrified. But I froze, and Paul Lee was hollering, run, run, run. And I finally got enough nerve to start running, and I started running, and he held that cow off until I got to safety. But that's how Paul Lee was.
Yes. I know.
He would risk his life any day for one of his kids or grandkids.
Yes.
Do you remember the time we were having a family get together, and I don't know if this was Easter or not, but everybody was dressed up.
It was Easter. It was Easter.
Were we at the Toyac River?
At the river. Yep. It was kind of a backup from the river.
Okay.
It wasn't the river, but it was water.
But it was
kind
a
of
lot of water.
Yeah, it was a lot of water. Yeah.
And Edward, you know, our little brother, he couldn't have been, what, 3 years old?
3 or 4. We were little. We
were little kids. We were not big kids. And keep in mind that all of us are 17 to 19 months apart.
Yes.
All of us 4 kids are. Mary and I are 17 months apart. Charles and Mary is 19 months apart, I think, or 18, and me and Edward are 19 months apart. So we were little, and all the big kids decided they wanted to go in swimming. Well, they were going in swimming. Paul Lee had on his dress shoes. We were dressed, you know, we were dressed decent because this was a family get-together. Well, what do you know? Edward just dove off in it. He just decided he was going to swim with the big kids. Paul Lee jumped in shoes,
dress shoes, and
everything to get Edward out.
Yep,
and that just shows you what kind of person he was. I'm sure there were other people watching, but Paul was like it was instantaneous. He jumped in.
Everybody was screaming and hollering. He jumped in his Sunday shoes.
He sure did, but he got Edward out and saved him. So, Mary put the lid on the potatoes.
I put the potatoes in here, and like I said, it's probably a third a cup of oil to one big potato, and I got it on medium heat, and I put a lid on the skillet because that will steam the potatoes and get them to cook faster. Your biscuits, they sure do look good. Those biscuits look good.
I've cooked them for 10 minutes, but I'm gonna cook them a little bit longer. I cooked those the other day for 15 minutes, and I'm going to put this on 4 more minutes.
Okay.
And we'll check them at 4 more minutes. And I'm going to get some butter here so we can butter one. I love hot butter biscuits. Do you?
Yes, they're good. Now, I eat butter now. When she said that, it made me think about, you know, how your taste buds change as you get older. I used to wouldn't eat butter. Cooking fine, but as far as putting butter on a biscuit, I wouldn't have it. I would not eat it.
I'm going to grab it.
Oh, but I do now.
Yeah, it is funny how your taste buds change. Yeah. I've always been a vanilla person. It wasn't that I didn't like chocolate. It was just that I would choose vanilla over chocolate any day.
I still do.
The last probably 10 years, I don't think there's anything any better than something chocolate cooking in the oven. It just makes a whole house smell good.
It smells good, but I never have a harder taste for chocolate. Not even chocolate candy. I don't eat chocolate candy. My youngest daughter has a weakness for chocolate.
She is a big chocolate lover.
But I never have. I didn't buy candy. When I was raising my family, I never bought candy for my kids. I didn't buy them candy. I didn't buy them chips. I didn't buy them soda pops. They weren't raised on snacks.
Well, I know we never lacked for anything when we were kids, but one reason that we love cooking so much is because we grew up with a mama and daddy too. Daddy loved to cook, and he was a great cook.
Yeah.
They cooked our meals.
Yes.
On Sunday afternoon, we may have told this before, I don't know, but on Sunday afternoon, sometimes we would take a ride, and we would stop at the little Dairy Mart on North Street.
It's like a Dairy Queen.
Yeah, we would get ice creams, and if we've told this before, forgive me for this, but Mary never got ice cream. She always got potato chips, and all the rest of us got ice cream. They was a nickel a piece.
I didn't even care for the potato chips. It's just because I wanted something because they was getting something because I didn't even, but I eat them, but as far as desire for them, I didn't even care for chips when I was growing up.
And sometimes when Daddy had been out all week in the truck on a trip, he would come in on Saturday morning or Friday night late. Remember, Mama always heard his truck when he was coming up Orton Hill.
Yeah.
She could always hear him changing the gear. She knew that was Daddy. That was Cecil's truck. He'll be home in a minute. Sometimes, excuse me, sometimes they would give us quarters, and we'd have quarters to spend. The next morning, we'd go to Uncle Fred's store and get something. You remember?
Yeah, I remember that.
You always,
yeah.
I heard Herschel Noe, our cousin, one time say that if he was at our house and if Mama or Daddy gave us quarters, they always gave whoever was there a quarter too.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they got to spend too. And that's how our parents were. They were,
Yeah.
they wanted everybody to feel welcome, and they wanted everybody to know that they're going to treat their kids just like they treated their own.
Whenever you mentioned quarters, a memory came back to me about Aunt Laverne. We used to stay with her about 2 weeks every summer
Yes, we did in Diboll.
in Diboll, and she had 2 children at that time, and it was Brian and Nancy. And like I said, we never really had snacks, chips and drinks, Coke, soda pops and things like that when we was kids. But when we went to see Aunt Laverne, I wondered as a child. Now, let me tell you something. Our house was clean. We had 2 brothers, and they didn't pick up their clothes, and they didn't iron their clothes. Linda and I
We
did
did
that
it.
for her.
Yes, we did.
But Aunt Laverne's house, when I was a kid, I thought, how does she keep her house clean all the time? Her house, I'd never seen her house in a mess. And I'm talking about just when we were staying there, it was just you picked up after yourself, and I wasn't used to not having to pick up after everybody. But anyway, when we got the house straightened up, that's after breakfast, and got the floors swept and whatever we had to do, that our chores. She had a little kind of a farm. She had chickens, and sometimes we'd have to get the eggs or something like that. Then she had a big front porch and had a swing set on it. We would go out there and sit on that porch, and she would give me and Brian, we was the oldest, so she would give us the money, and we would walk to that little store down below her house across the railroad tracks there in Diboll, and she would let us buy us a soda pop and a piece of candy. And that was a treat for us. She didn't do that for her kids all the time, but when we come, that was a treat for her kids and mine, and Linda and I. And we'd get a soda pop and a piece of candy, and we did that every morning.
We did.
we did that every
sure
morning.
did. I think the candy bars were a nickel a piece.
They was a nickel a piece, and the soda pops were too. And that's what she gave. She got us a piece of candy and a soda pop every morning, and we'd sit out that front porch and swing. And have you all ever heard of know how the horse bites the apple? You ever heard of that? Isn't that what she said? She would say, Mary, you want to know how the horse eats the apple? She would take her palm of her hand and she would grab it onto my knee and just squeeze it as hard as she could, and it hurt. And it was so funny to her because she said, that's how a horse eats apple. And I learned not to sit next to her in that swing because she would grab my knee every time. And she kept us kids just entertained all the time.
We had a lot of fun memories of staying with her in the summer. I remember, and I don't know how old I was, Mama drank Pepsi Cola, and there was 16 ounces in the bottles. I don't know how old I was, but they went up from Pepsi Colas, or Pepsis, like people call them now, went up from a nickel to 6 cents. You remember that?
Yes, I remember when they went up to 6 cents.
And,
I sure do.
You know, they had the old-time vending machines where you put the money in and they run the little deal, and then you pull it out and had a bottle cap opener on it, and you open the bottle. When they raised the drinks from 5 cents to 6 cents, Mama declared she was going to quit drinking. Because they raised them a penny.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, now this shows you how it was with back then when during the old days. So I got my biscuits done, and I did cook them a full 15 minutes, and I might.
They sure do look good. No, I like my biscuits brown.
I'm going to show you. How pretty they look. I'm fixing to cut a couple of them and put butter on them.
And my potatoes, if you can see it, I let them fry out to their tender. They're real tender. And then I put about 4 spoons of flour in it. I put some salt on the potatoes as they were cooking, but not much because I'm going to put a little bit of bouillon soup in it.
And that's salty.
And it's salty, so I didn't want to put much salt in it. But I just let the flour kind of cook a little bit.
see the biscuit that I've got cut here in half, and I'm going to put some butter in it.
Biscuits smell good.
Now remember, this is 2 ingredients.
And I'm gonna try this. I'm
Heavy
gonna
whipped
make
cream.
some of these biscuits myself.
And self-rising flour, and that's it. And there's your nice biscuit. So we're going to eat some of those.
Taste of that, and I'm gonna put
Little
some
potato
water.
gravy.
Now she uses hot water when she's adding to her.
I always keep a boiler hot because to me it just keeps you from having to whisk so much versus putting cold water in there. So when I'm going to make gravy, or if I'm making anything that water has to be added to it, I keep a boiler of hot water on the stove to add to it.
Keep it from cool. It keeps it from cooling the potatoes down or whatever it is.
Yes, it starts boiling faster.
Yes,
It
yes.
does. In fact, it's already boiling.
Yeah,
It
it
looks
is.
really good. I probably could live off potato gravy and biscuits. I have always loved potatoes. I like them any form or fashion except raw. I don't like raw potatoes like some people will eat a piece of raw one when they're peeling it. Nope, don't want a raw one, but I love them.
Now after I got my potatoes boiling, my gravy boiling, I don't know if y'all familiar with this chicken base, but I put about just a regular teaspoon full of that broth in this potato gravy. It flavors it. And Linda makes her potato gravy a little different from I do. She probably, Linda, do you brown your potatoes more?
I do, and I take them out before I do the...
She takes her potatoes out of the skillet before she adds her flour. But I don't. I leave it in there.
But it looks delicious. It looks very, very good.
And I'm sure she probably browns her flour a little bit longer than I did.
Yeah.
I didn't brown it.
I probably do.
Yeah.
But this looks really, really good. Mary, do you know how much a bag of frozen biscuits cost that you buy in Walmart? Are they like about $3.59, $3.99 or something? It's like
You
maybe
talking about
about
the
18
flaky?
biscuits. The kind that's already, you just take them out and bake them.
I don't know for sure, but they're probably $2.50. I don't know for sure, really.
I don't know either. I'm thinking they're $3 something, but I might be wrong because it's been a long time since I bought them. So this recipe made 10 biscuits. I used 2 cups of flour and almost 2 cups of the heavy whipping cream, and baking them. I would say probably what most at the most this cost was like $1.
Probably so. It wasn't
So
much.
what you can do with this, there's really no reason not to make biscuits if you like biscuits. You can make these. You can stick them in the refrigerator in foil if you want to do them up in packages of 2. Take them out the next morning, stick them back in the oven and reheat them. I don't like heating bread in the microwave because I just don't like the way the texture does after it's heated in the microwave.
I don't know.
Have biscuits, if it's just you or you and your spouse, have biscuits for all week just with one making, and you've spent very little money doing it.
And if you don't eat them in 1 week, I freeze mine.
And you can, that was the other
and like
thing.
I said, just put them in the oven whenever you...
And what I would do if I was freezing them, I would put these on a cookie sheet and freeze them individually on a cookie sheet. Don't pile them all in a bag and freeze them because they're going to tear up when you take them out. Freeze them on a cookie sheet. Isn't that the way you do yours?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what I found out, and I do my meat this way too. Like when I buy the big multi-packs of meat, and that's more than enough too much for myself and my son. They've got these little sandwich. They're clear cellophane. I forgot what they're called in the store, but they're like sheets of clear cellophane.
Okay.
And I take that and I wrap each piece in that cellophane and put them all in the bag.
And freeze them.
And freeze them,
So
and then
same difference.
you undo your Ziploc bag, and you just pick out 1 or 2 of some breast.
You're just skipping a
Yes,
step.
yes.
So
and you do the biscuits the same way. Just wrap them in Saran wrap.
So
and then,
is it something like the
That's
little
it.
deli
That's-
sheets?
that's it
The
right
little
there.
deli sheets
That's
here.
what I use
I
right
use
there.
these a lot. I use them with bagging up my shortbread and stuff. So
Yes.
that'll save that extra step because it does take a little while to freeze them if you're doing them individually like that. But we're almost got
this
gravy
gravy's ready.
and we'll get a plate.
Do you like yours thinner than this, Linda?
No, that's fine. Mama always made hers thick. Remember?
Yeah. Okay.
So we're going to Open up a biscuit.
I hope they taste half as good as Linda's potato gravy does,
Oh,
but she makes some good
will.
potato gravy.
Are you going to eat a whole one?
I probably won't, Linda. Just put it, I just
Okay.
want half. Thank you. I've done eat a brownie this morning.
Yeah, but that wasn't food. I'm going to eat a whole one because I haven't had any,
Well,
any food.
I did
except-
have breakfast here. Okay.
Okay. That is some good eating, y'all. I hope that y'all will make it. You gonna taste it?
I'm gonna taste it, yeah. If it ain't too hot.
We didn't fry any bacon or sausage, but
This is, hey, tater gravy, that's... It's good. Linda might want a little more salt, but it's enough for me. Okay. Thank y'all so much for watching.
thank you very much. Thank you, Sis Jean, for the recipe. And
I'm gonna be trying these biscuits.
we hope that y'all will get in the kitchen with your family, teach your kids and grandkids how to cook. They're going to need it one day. And there's no better way to make memories than gathering around in the kitchen with your kids and grandkids. We love y'all and thank y'all again for watching. And we'll be on, have another video posted. It won't be live, but we'll have another video posted Thursday. And we'll be on live again
Next Tuesday.
It may not be Tuesday because I have a dental appointment.
Okay,
But
okay.
we'll be
One
live
day
one
next
day
week.
next week. So thanks again. Tell your friends about us and we love y'all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.